Now listen to me carefully, because this right here is something a lot of people miss. When a man sends you, hey, that is not romance. That is not effort. That is not depth. That is a temperature check. He is testing to see if he still has access to you, if the door is still unlocked, if you are still emotionally available on demand. That little word is light on purpose. It carries no risk. If you respond fast and excited, he learns something. If you respond with strength, he learns something else. Either way, he's watching. When a man sends you, hey, don't fool yourself into thinking that word is innocent. That word is calculated. It's light on purpose. It's designed to give him information without costing him anything. Hey is not a conversation starter, it's a feeler. It's him reaching out with the least amount of effort possible to see if he still has access to you, your time, your emotions, your energy. And the moment that notification pops up, the real question isn't what does he mean? The real question is how do you respond? See, a man who knows what he wants doesn't open with confusion. He opens with intention. He doesn't knock softly and hope you open the door wide. Hey is him knocking with one finger. He's not saying he misses you. He's not saying he wants to see you. He's not saying he's thought this through. He's saying, let me check if I still matter. Let me see if she's still there. Let me see if I still have a place. And here's where people lose the game. They see that word and their mind starts racing. Why now? What does he want? Does this mean he cares? No, it means he's testing the temperature. And if you respond too fast, too warm, too open, you answer a question he didn't even have to ask out loud. You tell him, I'm still available on demand. I'm still emotionally open. I still respond to crumbs. Men learn behavior through response. Always have, always will. If low effort gets high reward, he will repeat low effort. He's not being evil, he's being human. You train people how to treat you by what you tolerate and what you reward. When, hey, gets paragraphs, explanations, excitement, you just taught him that he doesn't have to try. Understand this clearly. Hey protects him from rejection. If you ignore it, he can say he wasn't serious. If you respond, he can decide later what role he wants to play. There's no risk in it. And anything with no risk has no value. That's why you must stop attaching meaning to minimal words. Meaning comes from consistency, from effort, from action, not from 2 or 3 letters on a screen. The power in this moment is not in impressing him, pleasing him, or proving anything. The power is in restraint. The power is in not jumping emotionally before he jumps intentionally. When you pause, when you don't rush, when you don't overreact, something interesting happens. The balance shifts. Now he has to decide if he wants to step forward or disappear. And if he disappears because you didn't reward. That tells you everything you needed to know. He wasn't looking for connection. He was looking for validation. He wasn't checking on you. He was checking himself. Your silence or your calm response becomes a mirror. It reflects his level of seriousness back to him. This is not about playing games. This is about standards. This is about understanding That access to you is earned, not assumed. When you recognize that A is a test, you stop failing it emotionally. You stop handing over your value for free. You start responding from strength instead of hope. And that right there changes the entire dynamic without you having to say a single extra word. How you respond teaches him how to treat you, and most people don't realize they are giving lessons every single day. Every message you answer, every tone you use, every bit of energy you give is instruction. When he sends A, he's not just waiting for a reply, he's watching the quality of that reply. He's studying whether you respond from confidence or from need, from self-respect or from fear of losing him. And whatever you show him in that moment becomes the standard he follows going forward. See, men don't need long explanations. They understand patterns. If every time he puts in the bare minimum, you give him maximum attention, you've created a pattern. You've told him that access to you is easy, cheap, and guaranteed. Not because you said it, but because you showed it. And what people don't respect, they don't protect. That's just the truth. When you respond too eagerly to low effort, you remove the incentive for him to do better. You think you're being kind, open, loving, but what you're actually doing is lowering the bar. And once the bar drops, it rarely rises again. He starts believing that you will always be there no matter how little he gives. No plan, no clarity, no direction, just a word and your attention appears. But when you respond with calm balance and self-control, something changes. You're not being rude. You're not being cold. You're being intentional. You're saying without saying it that your time and energy have value, that you don't rush for confusion, that you don't open emotional doors for someone who hasn't knocked properly. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is not ignoring him to punish him. Discipline is choosing not to abandon yourself to keep someone interested. It's resisting the urge to explain, impress, or chase. It's understanding that attraction grows in space, not in desperation. When you don't over-respond, you create room for him to reveal his true intentions. If he's serious, your measured response will pull more effort out of him. He'll clarify. He'll engage properly. He'll step up because he senses that access to you is not automatic. And if he's not serious, he'll fade. And that fade is not rejection, it's information. It's clarity you didn't have to beg for. People fear losing someone by not responding the right way. But the truth is this: you only lose people who were never anchored to you in the first place. The ones who are meant to stay don't get scared by standards. They rise to meet them. The ones who leave were only comfortable when you were over giving and under valuing yourself. Every interaction is a mirror. When you show calm strength, you invite respect. When you show anxiety, you invite control. When you show balance, you invite intention. That's why the response matters more than the message. Hey is small, but your reaction to it is big. It sets the tone for everything that follows. You are always teaching people what behavior is acceptable with you, not with speeches, not with ultimatums, with your responses. And when you finally understand that, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. You move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. And the people around you adjust because they have no other choice. Over-eager replies lower your value, and this is where most people don't realize they're giving away their power. The moment that "hey" pops up, the instinct kicks in to respond fast, to sound warm, to show interest, because somewhere deep down there's a fear that if you don't, you'll lose him. But attraction doesn't grow from fear. Respect doesn't grow from availability. And value never grows from chasing. When you reply too quickly and with too much emotion, you send a message before you ever send words. You tell him that your time is open, your focus is on him, and your emotional door is already unlocked. He didn't have to knock properly. He didn't have to explain himself. He didn't have to take a risk. And when something is free and easy, the human mind doesn't treasure it. It consumes it. Men don't fall in love with effort they didn't earn. They don't respect access they didn't work for. That doesn't make them bad people. It makes them honest. The more you rush to respond, the more you communicate that he is the priority even when he hasn't shown you that you are his. And once that imbalance forms, it quietly shapes everything that comes after. Calm clarity does the opposite. Calm clarity says, I am present in my life. It says, I don't move from anxiety. It says, if you want my energy, you have to meet me properly. You're not ignoring him to play games. You're not delaying to manipulate. You're simply responding from a place where your emotions aren't driving the wheel. There's something powerful about not reacting instantly. It forces him to sit with his intention. It removes the instant reward. It creates a pause where he has to ask himself, do I want to step up or do I want to drift away? And that pause reveals everything. People reveal themselves when you stop making things easy. Clarity is attractive because it's rare. Most people are loud with their emotions and quiet with their standards. Calm clarity flips that. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to justify your pace. Your energy speaks before your words ever do. When you respond with balance instead of excitement, you're not rejecting him, you're inviting him to show up properly. You're saying, without saying it, that you value intention over attention. And a man who is serious will recognize that immediately. He won't feel threatened. He won't feel confused. He'll feel challenged in the best way. And if he pulls back because you didn't jump, that's not a failure on your part. That's success, because anyone who disappears when you stop over giving was only there for convenience. They were never there for connection. You didn't lose them. You exposed them. Low effort thrives on high reaction. Remove the reaction and the effort has to rise or vanish. That's the law of human behavior. When you stay calm, grounded, and clear, you take your power back without confrontation, without arguments, without emotional exhaustion. This isn't about being cold. It's about being centered. It's about knowing that your value doesn't increase when you rush to respond. It increases when you respond from self respect. And the moment you understand that, A, stops controlling your emotions and starts revealing the truth, silence or strength forces intention out of him, and most people are uncomfortable with that because silence feels risky. Silence feels like you might lose control of the situation. But the truth is, silence doesn't lose control, it reveals it. When a man sends, "Hey," and you don't immediately jump to respond, you create a space where he has to decide what he really wants. No distractions, no instant reassurance, just his intention sitting there with him. See, weak communication survives on constant response. It needs feedback, validation, proof that it still matters. Strong intention doesn't need that. Strong intention moves forward regardless. When you pause, when you don't rush, you remove the emotional cushion he was leaning on, and now he has to choose whether to step up with clarity or step away quietly. Silence is not punishment, it's information. It's saying, "I don't engage with confusion." It's not about ignoring someone to make them chase you. It's about not interrupting their process of showing you who they are. People always reveal themselves when you stop filling in the gaps for them. And when you do respond, strength matters more than words. Strength is calm. Strength is measured. Strength doesn't over-explain. Strength doesn't apologize for standards. A strong response carries self-respect without attitude. It doesn't push. It doesn't pull. It simply exists. Here's what happens when you lead with strength. A man who is serious will adjust. He'll come back with purpose. He'll clarify why he reached out. He'll make his intentions known because he senses that vague energy won't get him very far. He feels the boundary even if you never state it. And that boundary invites respect. But a man who was only testing will react differently. He may disappear. He may send another light message. He may try to pull you back into comfort without effort. And this is where many people panic and break their own standard. They think, maybe I should say more, maybe I should